Hi. So, it's December. It's the holiday season. It's the end of the year. We know what that means. Or maybe you don't. Let me explain. Every year, I like to do this video where I look back on the year we had in terms of doll collecting because that's what I do here. I look back and I pick my top 5 favorites of the year and my top 5 least favorites, my top 5 flops of the year, just to kind of give a little year in review. To talk about this year's selection of dolls in a general sense, though, it hasn't been bad. It definitely hasn't been bad, but I do think this has been a year of restructuring. The doll market, just in general, I think has been in a pretty transitional phase for a while now. And it feels like we're on the edge of that next big phase, standing on the precipice of it, but not quite there yet. If that makes any sense. Sometimes I do say these things out loud and I realize how insane I must sound. But I guess to put it into perspective, I bought a lot less this year than I normally do in terms of like buying dolls off the shelf from the stores or like from Amazon. I still did, probably way more than the average person, but compared to the year before or the year before that, I did not buy as many new releases. The doll aisle is just a different place than it was 2 years ago, 3 years ago, and I find that I'm just not buying a lot of the same things that I was. I bought older releases. I got a lot of new, older Barbies that I really, really love, and I want to make space for more. I bought dolls from another country. You can see a lot of my harvest from my trip to Japan this year right behind me. And as a whole, I just found that to be a lot more fun and fulfilling than buying these newer releases. This doesn't mean that there weren't releases that I loved, though, which of course we'll get to. But while I was putting together this list, I did notice that I struggled a lot more with picking out my top 5 favorite releases because almost all the dolls that I loved the most that I acquired this year were from years past, bought secondhand. And while I do think that's a little bit of a commentary on the state of the doll industry currently, I think it's also just me shifting my priorities a bit and looking around my doll collection and thinking about what represents me and my current interests. And I do think a lot of my fellow collectors are in the same boat. So that's what I mean by a year of restructuring. Last year, I also gave some of my general favorites of the year, and I would like to continue that tradition. And I would love for you to do the same, so let me know in the comments yours too. My favorite movie of the year. A lot of you are gonna hate me for this because I know you're sick to death of hearing about it, but I do have to give it to K-pop Demon Hunters. Do I think it's objectively the best movie to come out this year? No, I don't. But I think it's definitely the movie I had the most fun with. I watched it several times with different groups of friends, and I had so much fun with it. I cosplayed Baby Saja at a convention this year. It just has so many good memories attached to it. And I honestly think I could watch it again for I don't know, the 6th time and still have fun. So that's why it's my favorite. My favorite book I read this year. I won't lie, this was kind of a flop reading year for me. I read a lot of books that I absolutely hated. There was one book out of all that I read this year that I gave a 5-star rating on Goodreads, and that was Sword Cross by Freya Marsk, which really surprised me because I don't usually read straightforward romance. I don't really enjoy it. I'm not one for a lot of fluff, but I actually really enjoyed this one. I feel bad that it just kind of wins by default because it's not like a new favorite or anything, but I can definitely recommend it if you like boys and kissing. My favorite video game this year is a tie. I couldn't pick between these two. 100 Line, Last Defense Academy, and Clair Obscur Expedition 33. which is actually very ironic considering they came out practically at the same time. But I was heavily invested in both of these. Like, they really have incredible, ambitious stories. They both do really, really creative things with their genres, and I just had so much fun. I love them both dearly. I'm going to be thinking about both of them for a long, long time. But all right, enough about me. Let's talk some dolls. Quick addendum right here, just to say that this list is very, very subjective. So there might be some dolls that are just objectively way better than the ones I listed for my favorites, but they're my favorites. Your favorites might be entirely different, and that's okay. Likewise, there are probably a lot of dolls that are worse than the ones I listed in my flops, but a flop to me is like a disappointment. It has to be personal. Like, I knew the holiday Barbie this year was going to be trash. That's not a surprise, so she's not on my radar and not worth putting on the list. All right, got all that? Without further ado, let's get into it. Counting down from number 5. Flop number 5, Fang vote Catty Noir. This one was not a very easy placement. It took some thinking, some deliberating, but I do definitely think by most metrics, this doll was a pretty big disappointment. And don't get me entirely wrong, I was happy to see another chance at a G3 collector doll. I think G3 Catty is gorgeous. I think she has a lot of potential. I just do not think this doll fully realizes that potential. To be entirely fair to Catty, she does come right after Fang vote Jennifer, who is, you know, one of the most beautiful, gorgeous, exquisite, perfect, awe-inspiring, gorgeous, amazing Monster High dolls to ever grace the earth. So she was already at a bit of a disadvantage. She was already kind of being set up. Maybe the bar, maybe it was raised a little too high, but regardless, I don't even think this doll meets the standard of most Playline dolls. She is quite literally wearing just a bodysuit and like a big fluffy coat with a train. The hair and the face are really great, really beautiful. The audience chose the correct answers in the vote, but the outfit itself is just so woefully underdesigned, especially for a collector doll. She's just simply not giving what she needs to give. Like, I honestly think the Skulltimate Secrets Catty doll does a way better job. Like, if you really want a Catty doll, you can buy that one for way cheaper, and I feel like you're getting, you know, a perfectly great Catty doll. And I know the line between Playline doll and collector doll has always been somewhat arbitrary, especially in recent days. But with Fang vote Jennifer, yeah, she was expensive, but she felt worth that price to me. I felt like I got what I was paying for. And still, to this day, I look at her on my shelf, and I feel immensely satisfied and happy to have her. I did not buy Catty because I simply could not justify the price, which was $90. By the way, I couldn't do it. Nothing about the doll that I can see feels worth that price. She's not ugly, she's not hideous, I wouldn't even say she's poorly designed, but she needed more. She needed a lot more. This doll could have gone to so many places that were a lot more luxurious, a lot more creative, and Catty deserved better. G3 deserved better, honestly. On a more positive note, though, Fave number 5, Jim and the Holograms. These were honestly completely unexpected. I know Integrity Toys had the Jim license for a very long time, but I did not ever expect to see a brand new Playline Jim release in my lifetime. I was wishing for it, obviously, but I never expected it. So imagine my surprise when the loyal subjects, who'd also just acquired licenses for Strawberry Shortcake and Rainbow Bright, decided to traipse on in and also give us Jim and the Holograms. I was over the moon. I bought Jim as soon as I could get my hands on her, and I'm really happy with her. I think it's quite obvious once you do get your hands on her that Loyal Subjects is not a fashion doll company, first and foremost. They're learning, though, and, like, I think they did a great job For a completely unexpected revival of a beloved property from the 80s, they did everything that I could have wanted. They're number 5 and not higher up for 2 big reasons. One, the hair. The hair needs improvement. On Jim, on all of them, I think Loyal Subjects needs someone on board who is just very experienced with doll hair execution to guide them, and that would improve things tremendously. That's really my only big complaint about the dolls themselves. Secondly, though, there is actually only one doll that's gotten a wide release, and that's Jim. There was an SDCC exclusive set with Jerrica and Synergy, but that was limited and also way too expensive. The other dolls, we're waiting on them. And, looking at the stock images and everything, I'm happy with them. I want them. I do plan on buying them. Of course, I need to have the full band, but these aren't even supposed to be out until March of next year, and they also got a significant price hike from how much the Jim doll was. It just worries me a little that we're going so long between releases and also raising the price. It's difficult to gauge exactly what position the brand is in, and I'm not really seeing any new releases from Strawberry Shortcake or Rainbow Bright either, so maybe I'm just a little apprehensive. I've been burned a lot of times before when I put dolls on my faves list just for them to be taken out back and discontinued right after, so I'm worried. I will be very, very sad if these don't release. Do you want to make me sad, Loyal Subjects? Do you want to make me cry? I hope not. Flop number 4, Winx Club. Oh, talk about disappointments, huh? This entry is genuinely quite sad and quite devastating because it's not even really about the dolls themselves that are the reason they're here. It's just it's literally everything else. I did make a video talking about the Winx Club reboot, reviewing it, so I feel I've made my thoughts on it abundantly clear. To summarize them, though, I hated it. I hated the show, and I was really, really sad that I hated it because I wanted to love it. Unfortunately, it was just really, really bad. It missed the mark in a lot of vital ways that I struggle to even think of anything good to say about it. Winx Club is a franchise that is so incredibly important to me. It's been in my life for so long, and I have so many cherished childhood memories of it, and over the years, it's just become harder and harder to maintain that same level of enthusiasm. The dolls themselves for the new show are fine. They're fine. I'm talking specifically about the Playmates ones, by the way, because those are the ones available in my market. They're not anything amazing, but they're fine, and they're at a pretty decent price point for what you get. If I just saw these dolls on their own, and I never watched the show, never heard about what went on in the production of it, then I probably would like them a lot more. I might even have bought one. Probably Flora, because, that's my girl. And is it fair to judge the dolls for circumstances outside of their control? Yeah, I think so, because the show is made to sell the dolls, and the dolls are made to promote the show. They are intertwined. And I just can't divorce the dolls from what they represent, which I realize sounds pretty dramatic, but I'm not going to spend money on a doll of a character that I don't feel strongly about from a show that I did not enjoy watching. That's just not something I want to do. I see the dolls in Target, and they don't even tempt me. I barely acknowledge them. And considering what a huge part of my life that Winx Club used to be, yeah, that's sad. So that's why they're on the flop list. Fave number 4, the Shadow High Collector Dolls. Another big surprise, because I really genuinely believe that Shadow High was dead in the water. I thought we were never ever going to see them again. And I guess they heard me, because they came back angry. They were ready to prove something. Now, do these really qualify as collector dolls? I mean, I guess, but also no, not really. If anything, they're giving exactly what Shadow High's Playline dolls were giving just a few years ago. But I understand that why they were classified as such, considering the current state of the brand. But I was just really happy to see them again, and I was happy to see them serving really well-designed, well-put-together looks for a fairly decent price point. That's all I can really ask for in the end. Chanel is also my favorite Shadow High character. Her original doll is one of my favorite dolls the brand has ever put out, period, Rainbow High or Shadow High. So obviously, I'm happy to see her, and I think she looks really, really good. And Heather looks good too, obviously. They're both great. I hope these weren't like just a one-time thing. I think these prove that there is absolutely still a market for dolls of this level, of this execution, of this design sensibility. They don't have to be the most elaborate, most intricate dolls ever. It's enough to just have a solid release with some creative, fashionable outfits made with care and execution, which is exactly what these are. So I really hope to see more releases like this. Flop number 3, 2025 Barbie Basics. Once upon a time, long ago in 2009, there was this line called Barbie Basics. And as the name implied, they were a line of Barbies that were basic, dressed in casual outfits in a variety of styles. These were also aimed primarily at adult collectors, and so were a step above Playline Barbies in terms of quality. And also in style, the outfits were modern, they were trendy, and it's very fondly remembered for a lot of good reasons. So when it was announced that Mattel was bringing back the Barbie Basics line in 2025, there was apprehension. Because knowing Mattel, there was just no way they could live up to the standards that they set back in 2009, 2010, right? No way. Well, we were right. The new Barbie Basics line came out and honestly really didn't make much noise at all. A lot of people seem to have more or less forgotten about this line entirely, and I don't blame them. It's really incredibly forgettable, which could be forgiven, honestly, if not for the release of the Barbie Basics You Create kits, which cost $100, came with 3 dolls, all with heads that you could take off and swap around as you saw fit, a number of outfit pieces, and wigs. And let's just be honest. Let's be totally blunt for a minute. The outfits are ugly. They're so ugly. They are absolutely atrocious. I hate them. But you know what I hate more? The wigs. Oh my god, the wigs. The wigs are horrendous. They look terrible. They don't even look good in these stock images, and you know that's only after hours of very, very careful prep work. In real life, 100 times worse, because dolls generally do not look good in wigs. They don't. It has been done correctly a few times, and the secret, honestly, is just giving them a big head. But Barbies have small heads. Barbies have very, very small heads. These were never going to look good. They were never going to look correct. And it just shows a really blatant, frustrating example of how incredibly out of touch Mattel is with collectors. The only way I know to describe this release is a big waste of resources. This is budget and materials that could have gone literally anywhere else. And what's really insulting is that Mattel has done this concept before. They've made Barbies with swappable heads before at the Playline level, and far better executed than these were. Just everything about this release was doomed from the start. It's bad. It's really, really bad. Fave number 3. Dress to Impress. If you've been watching my videos, then I'm sure this one really comes as no big surprise. I've been really interested in these since I saw they were first announced, and I was already pretty impressed, and after actually going out and buying one, yeah, I still like them quite a lot. The concept of a doll line based on a Roblox game is still inherently kind of silly to me. I won't sugarcoat that. But they truly and wholly committed to these, and I think that's what I appreciate most about them. Like, These would have been really easy to just phone in, especially since the company behind them, Fat Mojo, isn't a fashion doll company. They mostly specialize in action figures, so this would have been a really new venture for them. And thus far, they've done a really, really good job. I'm just really impressed with what I've seen and where these are going, and I definitely see myself buying more in the future. And I'm going to say something I fully acknowledge might sound insane, but bear with me. There is almost something nostalgic about these dolls in a way. Like, I look at them and I get almost the same feeling as I did when I was a kid seeing Bratz and My Scene dolls in the store way back in the day. And that's not to say, like, these are the next Bratz dolls. Not at all. They're not quite at that level yet. But it's just really fun seeing these dolls on shelves that, like, you see them and you know the team behind them really cares about making a product that appeals to kids and putting a lot of effort into designing something fun and creative and memorable. And they're not going to appeal to everyone. No, they don't need to. They just need to find the right audience. And I hope the right audience really loves them because they're doing good work so far. Flop number 2. Literally any American Girl collector doll. I'm sick of American Girl collector dolls. I'm so sick and tired of them. I couldn't even pinpoint a single release that I hated more than the others. I just don't want to see them anymore. Like, I'm annoyed. I'm just annoyed. The only way that I know how to describe it, because I feel like I'm watching American Girl as a brand drive the train directly off the tracks and, like, directly into an orphanage. The decisions they are making are confusing and a little bit horrifying. American Girl is just not what it used to be. And I know that's not, like, a hot take. I think most collectors agree with that. But it's, like, really not what it used to be. When I think about what I love about American Girl, it's the history. It's the education, it's the commitment to telling stories from a demographic that is so often overlooked in the grand scheme of things. It's about celebrating girlhood in all different eras. It's about bonding. Because I've never really personally classified American Girl as a fashion doll brand. I think they're actually officially classified as companion dolls. They're meant to be a friend. You buy an American Girl doll and you listen to her story and you connect with her. That to me is the quintessential American Girl experience. So to see the brand being treated like a fashion doll brand, like it's Barbie, it's honestly kind of jarring. It's weird, and it also comes at the detriment of the brand's original message, its original values. Like, do you think when Pleasant Rowland first made these dolls, she planned for them to be selling miniature characters from a Netflix show? Absolutely not. And I say this as a Wednesday fan. I have zero desire in my heart for an American Girl Wednesday Addams doll. We don't need her. We have a historical collection full of girls that is being neglected and gathering dust in the meantime. There's also the fact that these dolls are ludicrously expensive, and I know American Girl collector products are, like, not a new concept, but usually there were, like, 1 or 2 big annual releases. Now they are one right after the other, and the dolls go for upwards of, like, $300 each, and more, of course, if you want any of the extra outfits. And American Girls are already sold at a very high price point, and now you're asking for, like, a tier above that. For what? For licensing? It's just ridiculous to me. It's unnecessary, and I just don't like that this is where Mattel wants to take American Girl. Fave number 2. Monster High G3 Signature Collection. Overall, I do think Monster High had a really solid year with a lot of really good releases. When I think about the dolls that I was most excited to buy from them, though, it definitely has to be the signatures. Jennifer, Nephra, and I'll even put Skeleta, too, even though she's not technically fully released yet. It's just been hit after hit after hit. I think Across the board, all three characters are such great evolutions from their G1 dolls. They keep all the best parts of those dolls, and they're still very recognizable, but they also improve on them too. I think these signature releases are really where G3 has shined the brightest, and also where it has the most favorable comparisons to G1 too, which I could do without a lot of the time, but they're unfortunately pretty inevitable. It's not just that though. I think they are also exemplifying how G3 is really finding its footing too. I mean, it's been a few years. The brand has had more than enough time to grow and come into itself, and there are times where I think maybe it's not all the way there yet, but there are other times when I look at dolls like these, and I think that they know exactly what they're doing, and they should keep doing it. It makes me excited to see more interpretations of more characters, hopefully some newer characters here and there too. I don't know, maybe one day. But overall, I think I'm pretty happy with where G3 is right now. I think there's still a lot of potential, and I'm looking forward to seeing where it goes. Monster High will probably always be one of the brands I do consistently buy the most of when it comes to new releases. Unfortunately, you just can't see them. They're on this shelf, which is out of frame, but they're there, I promise. And now, before we talk about the number 1 flop and the number 1 fave, let's also quickly go through some honorable mentions. I feel like I would be remiss to not go through this whole video and not at least mention the Monster High Aliens collector doll. I didn't buy her, but I do honestly think she was one of the most positively received releases I saw this year. Normally, dolls that get that much hype also get a lot of disappointment following it, but basically everyone I saw that bought that doll was really happy with her, so kudos to her. I would also like to shout out my Dolphy back there, who is by technicality a new release this year. I got him custom made at the Volks store in Akihabara during my trip to Japan. I love him. He's so incredibly special to me. Thank you for witnessing him. And also, shout out to the second wave of the Bratz Mean Girls collaboration. I didn't end up buying any of them, but I did see that the release was easy. I could have bought one if I wanted to. They were in stock for quite a while and very widely available, and the release was not the absolute nuclear disaster that the first one was. So I appreciate that. All right, so the dubious honor of this year's number 1 flop goes to the Wicked for Good doll assortment. Yeah, I do think this was by far the biggest disappointment for me. I know I named K-Pop Demon Hunters as my favorite movie of the year, but Wicked for Good is also really high up there. I love both of the Wicked movies dearly. They were both full of really incredibly designed looks, a lot to pull from. So words cannot describe how deeply, utterly disappointing it is that the whole doll line is just so underwhelming. The line already felt like a bit like an afterthought with the first movie, but this one barely felt like a thought at all. This is something Mattel could have fired off on all cylinders for. With how huge the franchise is, with how much merchandise there is out there, the opportunity was already there and they just didn't take it. They didn't even bother. The only doll release from For Good that's even really worth talking about are the collector dolls, the 2-pack they released, and that cost $160, which is way overpriced, just totally out of the question. For how much I love both of these movies, I just haven't felt the desire to buy any of the dolls. I got Glinda's signature doll from the first movie for Christmas last year, and that has felt like enough, honestly. Like, I just don't feel like I need any more because the dolls just aren't giving what they need to give. And if they had been made with better quality, better execution, more creativity, I absolutely would have bought them. I wouldn't even be hesitating because I am not immune to commercialism. But the dolls just, like, straight up aren't worth it. And I mourn what it would be like to have this whole big collection full of these wonderfully beautiful Wicked dolls. It's just such an incredible disappointment. And that's why they are my number one flop. But we do have one more to discuss. My number one favorite of the year, and that honor goes to... It's sort of a tie, actually, but it's between Bratz Going Out and Bratz Stylin'. When Bratz first came back after their long hiatus, we had a pretty contentious relationship. They kept putting out a lot of these collector releases that just really didn't appeal to me. I wanted Playline dolls. I wanted Playline Bratz dolls that felt like the dolls from my childhood. Not just reproductions either. I wanted new Playline dolls, and starting last year, they began to deliver exactly what I was asking for. And I'm happy to say they've been consistently putting out a lot of really great releases, with more to come on the way. But I think these two were the strongest releases from them, and it was hard to pick between them, so I'm giving it to both. I think both of these lines do what Bratz has always done best. These are the girls with a passion for fashion. The brand just feels like it has such a strong identity again, and I think both of these lines show it off really well. I don't really have criticisms because I think Bratz is kind of basically doing everything right. Not every doll release is going to appeal specifically to me, but that's okay because they're still being designed with a lot of love and a lot of effort into delivering worthwhile products. And at the end of the day, that's what matters most. And there we have it, my top 5 faves and my top 5 flops. I'm sure your list looks a little different, so be sure to let me know down below your thoughts, your opinions, your favorites, and your least favorites. Let me know what you focused on buying this year, how your collection grew or downsized or changed at all. Were you satisfied with this year? What do you hope to see more of next year? I realize that's a lot of questions, so I'll leave you to it. I hope you have a great Dolladay season. Enjoy yourself, and remember, keep it cute.